Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have Matt on Blue Red Delver versus Tyler on Ant, both undefeated at the finals of our FNM. Legacy every Wednesday and Friday in store. Big Legacy event once a month. A team event that usually includes Legacy. This month will actually be Team Unified Legacy, which I'm really looking forward to. We have Mishra's Bauble, drawing a card, getting a little bit of information. Illusion just gives you more power, really, with Expressive Iteration and Dragon Rage Channeler. The ability to Expressive Iteration into more permanents that you can actually get on board that turn. Of course, lands are fine, but sometimes you'd rather get a Bauble, continue to dominate the stack with cards like Brainstorm, Force of Will, Daze, just leave yourself in better position. Either outright counter your opponent's stuff or draw toward answers. Deck does have Brazen Borrower, Lightning Bolt. Got some options for dealing with onboard threats. Just basic lands for Tyler, trying to play around Wasteland. A Lightning Bolt goes upstairs. Blue Red Delver's a deck full of very small decisions. Like there, I actually don't love that Lightning Bolt. I'll be interested to hear what Matt thinks about it. I would have rather seen the Delver trigger than respond by fetching if it's not a card that's of high enough quality. Oh, I guess he actually pondered earlier, so scratch that. If that ponder didn't shuffle, then Matt knew exactly what was on top. That is a line to keep in mind, though. In general, Delver triggering, sometimes you're going to want to trigger Delver and then respond with a fetch land. You want that card on top of your library to flip the Delver, but it's not necessarily the card you want in hand. For example, a Lightning Bolt in a control matchup might not be exactly what you want. Though there are certainly times where it is now, thanks to all of the permanents that control decks are managing to get on board. I'm talking about cheap Planeswalkers, cards like Hull Breacher. Bolt's pretty strong right now in general, contributing to the overall strength of Blue Red Delver. Ground Sea played in the face of Wasteland. The previous Thoughtseize revealed a bunch of information. Tyler. It was about days in hand. And got a Cabal Ritual. Sadly, just 3 mana off of that. You really want to get 5, but gotta have Threshold for that. Oh, wow. Force, Daze. This is going to be a lot to play through. Foil 7th edition Duress does take the Force of Will, but there's 2 more Dazes. Just 2 mana floating. It's 3 mana total, 2 floating, 1 underground sea. See what he's able to do with this. Looks like he's got the Tendrils in hand. Not generally where you want it either. It's possible these Dazes could end up contributing to a storm count, but no, that is not the case here. Delver sends. Tyler's down to 3. Speaking of how good Lightning Bolt can be, it would be player removal here. Tyler's facing down lethal, has to go for it. Got Daze, and Tyler's fetching. Daze the 1. Another Daze, and that is going to do it. So game 1 going to Matt. Double Daze shutting down that Tendrils at the end. Ever having enough mana to be cast. So Cabal Ritual would have done the job. Without the sufficient storm count, though, I mean, Matt was already way ahead there, being at 19. I mean, Tyler needed quite a lot of help. It is always nice when your opponent thought seizes you and concedes the game. I mean, that's practically where that situation was. The hand's just that good. Even taking the best card out of it, you're still way ahead. Dragon Rage Channeler. I don't know if Dragon Rage Channeler is the best new card in Delver. It's tough. What do you think it is? Is it Expressive Iteration, Dragon Rage Channeler, Murktide Regent? They're all very strong. I guess Dragon Rage isn't it. Even though it's an incredible card, it's certainly better in Delver than in other decks. You don't really see it elsewhere. Murktide, on the other hand, has seen some play. Variety of different decks. Probably my favorite would be the Paradigm Shift builds. The Thassa's Oracle, Paradigm Shift decks running Murktide Regent. That's some spice right there. Of course, Expressive Iteration, a card that some control decks are actually just splashing red for. Straight up Expressive Iteration, the only main deck card that utilizes red mana. And in the sideboard, since you're doing that anyways, you might as well have Meltdowns and Pyroblasts. That Dragon Rage does an incredible amount of work in the deck, but really doesn't see as much play elsewhere. Now, Murktide Regent joining in, heard us talking about him. He's a big boy. I gotta think this is gonna be an 8/8, right? The question here is if he can leave the Dragon Rage Channeler as a 4. So land, instant creature still in the bin. So the Dragon Rage Channeler is 1 card away from Delirium. Is that what it's called? From its threshold of sorts. Whereas the Murktide Regent is just a little bit smaller than he would have been. Yeah, it is Delirium. Thoughtseize? This puts him potentially in lethal range. Oh, big oof. Force of Will, Daze, Brazen Borrower, scooping it up. Oh, as alluded to earlier, when your opponent Thoughtseizes you and then scoops, that's always nice. That is absolutely dominant hand, dominant board position. His Blue-Red Delver looks very strong there.